Don't you hum too much.
Well, hummer.
A humana humana. I
A
believe
humana, humana,
we
humana.
may be live. No, maybe not. Come on, come on! The PlayStation maybe. Wait, we're live! Wait, sometimes it has those days where...
Hey!
Sometimes it has those days where it just doesn't start, you know?
Right. Well, hello! And welcome to another thrilling episode of Those Aren't Biscuits! I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Cadotte, and with me as always is Owen Adams. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm not bad, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Sorry, everyone. Things got a little slapdash there right at the beginning, so we'll recover. All right, we're just getting ourselves settled in here. I have to change my mics. But yes, for those of you who are new to the show, or even our longtime fans who need a little reminder, this is a weekly live streaming pop culture show where we talk about things from books to comic books to music and movies and video games, television, and everything in between.
I quite like that first
what we
range
do
you
here.
set up. Everything from books to comic books. Some of those comic books I've heard so much about.
Right, yeah, books that have been comicked.
I always remember, do you remember the movie The Never-Ending Story?
Yes.
There's that bit when he goes into the bookshop and the guy's all like, "Here we sell small rectangular objects known as books." And he's like, "I know what books are." And he's like, "Comic books. No, Treasure Island." And you're like, yeah, this old man, in the 90s, we were so sure that the youth had got so bad they didn't even know what books were.
Right, which is really funny since, like, from, like, I think, what was that stat I read? Like, something from, like, 1987 to now, like, child, like literacy and reading rates have, like, steadily increased, like, quite a
Right.
bit.
I bet Harry Potter played a large part of that.
On the backs of stuff like Harry Potter and,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, what
young
was
adult
the...
novels. But still,
I would say we were the right age for Harry Potter as teens, but we were a little. You and I would be a little too old for Harry Potter, right? Like, I remember when I read the first one, I thought of myself as too old for it when I read it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I did not know Harry Potter existed until at least the third book was out.
Yeah,
Honestly,
same here. Same here. And
yeah.
I think the first one came out in like '96, but I don't remember hearing about it until, say, Goblet of Fire for sure. So what would you say was like?
'Cause I remember, like, Goblet of Fire really is what, like, I think really pushed it into like mainstream zeitgeist. I hate that term, but
that was definitely out when I read Philosopher's Stone, and that's when it seemed to become like a big hit. Because I remember my mum buying me a copy of Philosopher's Stone because she was getting in on. She was like, she'd heard that it was the big new kids book and was interested in reading it, so she bought a copy out of interest and then gave it to me.
hello, Lou's Corner, and welcome.
Hello to Lou's Corner, how you doing? So what would you say pre-Harry Potter for, like, us? What would you say was the big book series when we were kids? Goosebumps?
Man, yeah, Goosebumps. You know, like, I think it was really popular for us as kids to have these series of books that went on for forever, but they were much smaller.
Well, that was
and
the
not
difference.
as substantial.
Yeah, like, I remember there was a lot... Did you have the ones that were, like, animals? Things like Badgers in the Barn? There was a big running series here of books that were... Each one was about animals in an alliterative setting. So, like, you know...
Well, let's get this going here, and then we'll get into this, huh?
Ferrets in the Field. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, and they were put together a little bit like boy bands, you know? They were contrived series of books.
Right. I mean, there was stuff like the Boxcar Kids, like, of course, like the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, that stuff.
Oh wow, I do not have my heroes unlocked because I haven't played it. We're gonna have to stick with Beyond each.
Okay, I
hear this.
Oh, hold on, they might not be able to hear you for a moment. Let me just Sorry, I was sending the invite, so it was blocked up.
Oh, sure. So, Lou's Corner says, guys, do you know what Bob Marley has in his donut?
I do,
I don't,
I'd say this joke has been poorly phrased. It's one of those that doesn't work if you phrase it like that. Because they... Do you know what Bob Marley has in his donut? The answer would be jam. If you phrase it like that. But if you say, how does Bob Marley like his donut? Then you say, we're jamming. There we go. See? If you phrase the beginning wrong, you can't do the punchline right. Right?
Fair enough.
I don't know. But I do know that he likes it with jamming. We did this
also,
one.
Hello, Tiny Beth Secret.
Hello.
Who says, oh, they're English books. English, even. Yeah, not really familiar with, young adult novels of other languages, honestly.
You have chosen... Can I also choose one? I've actually got 2 of the characters I can be, because I bought them as DLC. Should we...
Yeah, I have those 2.
Should we... change the shot clock or anything, or are we good with all this?
Let's change the shot clock a little bit. Let's jack that up.
How the hell did you get down to it? Press to start. No, change it! R1. Oh, okay, there we go. I got it. Oh! Oh, I have some very sad news, John.
Oh, no.
So, we can play this, but basically, because I haven't played on this profile at all, a lot of the stages are locked. But some aren't.
That's fine.
Some aren't.
I mean, we're just playing this for the heck of it. I mean, it's not like we're... we are playing Peggle 2 Lou's Corner. So, hope you guys like Morning Mood, because that song is all over this thing. And Tiny Beth Secret says, I just thought John maybe didn't know the Animal Arc series. You're actually right about that. I am not 100%
That is what they were called.
I'm not familiar with that series. I mean, I guess maybe, I don't know, we had, I'm trying to think of the real popular series we had as kids, here in America. We had, like I said, the Boxcar Kids. Are you familiar with those?
No, not off the top of my head.
It's, well, I don't think it was ever intended to be like a long-running series. But the Boxcar Kids, it started out as a book of these kids who are orphaned and go running away, and they live for like a whole summer in a boxcar they find, like a train boxcar that they find in the woods. And but it just goes on from there, them like running into these random adventures and stuff. But you know, they don't live in a boxcar for a very at all after like the first one.
That sounds a bit like the Famous Five. Now they were from the 1930s or 40s, I think. Maybe the 50s. I don't know. It's Enid Blyton. Did you guys have the Famous Five there?
No.
So Enid Blyton was an author. She wrote the Noddy books. You guys got Noddy, right? A little guy in Thailand drives a yellow car. Okay, you guys don't have Noddy. Never mind. So Enid Blyton was an English author, and she wrote a lot of books. She wrote a lot of books for many different ages, young children, older children. But probably her most famous books, these books called The Famous Five, and they're about... technically, they're always on the back of the books, it was like, 5 friends! This is a total con. There were 4 friends and a dog. But,
Oh. Hell with her, then. This false advertising cannot stand. You can't be friends with your dog. What's wrong with you?
But they would go on adventures, so it would be like, and all the books would be like 5 I think 5 go on an adventure. What was the first one called? Something like 5 on a treasure island. Really? Tiny Beth Secret says, Timmy was a friend!
See? Don't you besmirch the good name of Timmy, you son of a bitch.
Hello to Ashton Modry, how you doing? Luce Connor says, the art style looks like Brawlhalla to me. Does it? Well, very much like Brawlhalla to me.
No, I see it. I see where he's coming from.
Jonathan Cadotte there, friend of the people. Can I just ask you guys if the music is slightly too loud? Because it's quite loud through my headphones. I just want to make sure it's okay for you guys on the stream. Tiny Bit Secret says 5 on a treasure island is correct. So there were a lot of those.
Not doing well here. But yeah, so I don't know. We had like the Boxcar Kids, and we had things like the Babysitters Club. Someone mentioned that in the chat. Those are all kind of more geared, I think, more towards the young girl crowd.
Tiny Beth Secret says Timmy sold more adventures than anyone. He did not. He was a dog.
Oh, come on. We also had stuff like, let me try to think. Like the Treehouse Gang. Did you ever? That one was kind of interesting because it would be these kids would go on an adventure because they had this magic tree house, but they always went back into time somewhere. So they were always like, so it was always kind of like pseudo historical. Like they would kind of slip in a few bits of history trivia, but I mean the reality of it, no, it wasn't that. Like I remember there was one where they went back and dealt with.
We ran out of balls. I think when it's 2-player, you share balls.
Sounds like my Friday night.
You're a bad man.
So, I don't know. We had all those books, but yeah, I'm trying to think. Like for me, the big one was Animorphs. You remember that one?
We've talked about Animorphs before.
Yeah,
Animorphs famous for having like the worst and yet most memorable covers of all children's literature. I had a book when I was a kid, so a lot of my kids' books were hand-me-downs. So sure. I'd often end up with like a lot of kids' books were series. You'd often end up with like a lot of the books I had were always like 3 of 5, you know. Like a lot of the books I had as a kid were like that. Very rarely did I have like the first in an adventure. But I had this one book when I was a kid. Weirdest book. To this day I remember it. It was like a spy espionage book. But it was licensed. It was a licensed product of Roger Moore. Not James Bond. Roger Moore. And it was about these kids who one day had met the actor Roger Moore, and he had basically inspired them to make their own sort of espionage spy club. Mm-hmm. So they would go about having adventures with their mentor being the great and wonderful actor Roger Moore. But he wasn't really in the books, they just knew Roger Moore. And then basically what would happen is they would go on an adventure and they would try and get Roger Moore to help. But Roger Moore would be a bit like Dumbledore. He would occasionally pop up and be like, no, I'm too busy being Roger Moore. And then at the end, they would catch up and be like, hey, Roger Moore, look what we did. We saved the day again. That's always stuck in my head because when I read those books, well, that one book I owned, I hadn't even seen a film with Roger Moore in it. Like, Roger Moore hadn't even been James Bond for about 5 years at that point, at least.
Well, as you do.
But he was the hero.
Asher Modry asks, are you able to play the other 2 characters? Yeah, I think I have access to 4.
I only have to because I stream this podcast from a different profile, so I've never played Peggle on this profile before. So what have you been doing this week, John?
This week has been kind of low-key for me. I don't know. Not a whole heck of a lot's happened, but I guess a few things happened. For me, the most interesting thing I guess I can say is actually today I finished booking, paying for and booking my vacation stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll be going on a little holiday here in a couple weeks.
Are you still going to the same destination?
Yes. Oh, smoked you. Sorry. Yeah, I'll try a different character. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna be this owl.
Fair enough.
Butterfly wings.
It's also not an owl,
yeah,
John.
What's that?
It's also not an owl.
It looks like an owl to me, okay? What the fuck would you call that? It has a beak and it has like the little poof in the back, and that's owl-ish. Alright? It's owl-esque.
You got the same funky music I do?
The weird boing 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 thing?
Oh no, that's the balls. They're making a boing boing sound this time around for no reason.
I don't know, I turned off the music.
Good call. Nobody actually ever answered me about whether the music's too loud, by the way, so if it is, I don't know.
So, yeah, no, I'm going on vacation. God, it's like 2 weeks now. I'm going to, Bali, Indonesia. I'm going to be in Indonesia.
Okay, apparently the music is too loud. Oh, let's tweak that.
So that's exciting for me. I don't know how exciting it is for everyone else. Hey,
oh, I'm thrilled.
I'm going on vacation that you're not.
I'm thrilled that you're going away for a while, and nothing could bring me more joy.
But yeah, I guess that's the most exciting thing that's happening to me right now. I had a...
Tiny Bit Secret says that volcano hasn't gone off yet, though, has it?
Oh, it has. It's already done. It didn't go off as much as they anticipated it would, but it basically vented for a few weeks before any sort of eruption, so it really
Anytime anyone went near it, it just went, I'm so sick of this shit. No one understands me. I never get invited to parties with the other volcanoes.
They found the volcano just for 3 hours straight punching a heavy bag. Just...
Got a little squeak toy. Squeaky, squeaky. You look forward to it? So
yes.
what's on the itinerary for your trip? Do you know?
Well, there's a few things that for sure I definitely want to do. There is a there's a forest that I really want to check out.
Whoa, big man! Big John on campus here, checking out the forest. Oh boy! Well, this is how we do it.
It's a sacred monkey forest, okay?
You're a sacred monkey forest.
Shut up! But no, it's a sacred monkey forest that you can, take walks through, and there's old,
So, the most important question seems to me, is the forest sacred or the monkeys?
Well, from what I understand is that it used to be the spot of like a lot of old temples and palaces that belong to the royal family or the monarchy that used to control the land.
This is not an answer to my question.
Well, if you let me finish, Owen, sir.
You don't if you don't know, just say you don't know. Dear me, this is... You're really taking a while to finish bouncing here. How much higher pitch can these boings get? But no, continue. I can listen.
No, I don't know if I want to anymore.
Is this how the show ends? With Jonathan pouting. Somehow we always knew it would be this way.
No, I think it's a combination of both. I think the monkeys were like the royal family's animal of choice, that represent them. And then there's also a lot of like temples and things there. So I mean, it's probably a combination of both. Both the forest and the monkeys are sacred, but it's just a lot of ruins there now. I shouldn't say ruins, but abandoned temples and palaces and stuff that the monkeys have essentially just taken over.
Are they going to be offended if you call it ruins? Like, hey, we made this place as nice as we could with the opposable digits we lacked.
Like, look, we can't vouch for the previous tenants, okay? Look, we just did what we could.
Oh well.
So yeah, that's one of the things I want to do. There's a tour that I've signed up for, where you get to see
Hello to Sinister Minister, by the way.
Sun come up over a mountain and into a valley, and there's a village below that gets covered in fog. And it's supposed to be the most beautiful sunrises in the world. You know, it's basically Wakanda.
I guess someone went around categorizing sunrises.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's, you know, personal preference and
how disappointed are you going to be if you get there and it just looks the same as just out home?
Tiny Bestie here says, "Wait, are you going to a real place or the Jungle Book?" No, the Jungle Book. That's yeah, right. Sorry, what was your question, Owen?
Are you going to be disappointed if you get there and the sunrise just looks like home and it's just normal? Just a pretty basic sunrise. Or if you sleep in.
Why can't you just be excited for me?
I am excited for you.
I don't know. You sound like you're pretty not.
What the hell's going on here? Oh, it's turned them purple. Oh, I see. It turns them purple, so you get more points if you hit them. This is actually really not that useful a character for competitive, because it would help. Oh, no. Okay, fair enough.
No, they go away.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, there's stuff like that. I'm going to do like a trip of the rice fields, and I want to see the. Apparently, that's where they make Kopi Luwak is in Bali. I want to try that. So it's one of the best coffees in the world.
Nice.
I'm a huge coffee fan. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's face it. If the rice doesn't do it for you, the coffee will be sure to tip you over the edge.
Right. Yeah. See, this is what I mean, Owen. This can't be excited for me, huh? It's gotta, you know, have a little snarky comment about everything I'm excited for, don't you?
So, are you gonna be having a proper holiday, or are you gonna be doing the next episode of? What are you gonna be doing? One of the next episodes of the show live from Bali?
No. I don't know. I don't know how to respond to this. That avoids you making some snarky comment that I'm.
I want to hear the rice fields, John.
I did think about doing some sort of recording from Bali, but I don't know. I really don't know. I might wait till afterwards and maybe do a video like with, you know, like a slideshow sort of thing. You know, just something.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
So how long are you gonna be there?
I'll be there for 6 days.
Will that be enough time to get the look at the rice fields you want?
No, there's not enough time in the world to give me all the looks of the rice fields.
So what about the rice fields, though? I'm interested. Like, are they particularly interesting rice fields?
Well, it's all like terraced, you know. So, I'm not interested in rice. Like, I'm interested in the land features that they've created to harvest the rice.
I have to say, I do think it's great that we've got to the point on this show that you've just had to clarify whether or not you're interested in rice.
Well, I figured you'd be smart enough to pick up on that, but I'm not sure anymore. So... it's gonna be one of these episodes, huh?
I miss the days where we could name the shows, and then I could call this one, just to clarify I'm not interested in rice.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I got nothing against rice. I think rice is delicious.
Hello to Sinister Minister, by the way, and hello to Fuzzy.
I'm not flying halfway around the world just to see rice.
By opening up sachets of Uncle Ben's and piling it out like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. No, I think it sounds like a great holiday, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Bali that I'm really excited about. It's a very from what I understand, it's a very artistic culture there. They have a very long history of art and things like that. And so, like where I'm actually staying will be like less than a mile away from this like huge art market that they run every day, where just people come and sell their art.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, look at that. There's just a lot of just little stuff that I want to check out. And another big thing is like I'll get to see the ocean. I've never seen the ocean before, so.
Really? That's weird.
Yeah, I've never seen the ocean. I live in Wisconsin.
Well, yeah, but you could travel. It's weird for me because I grew up on an island, so... I mean, Britain itself is a fairly small island, but I grew up on an even smaller island, so it's a bit...
Right, well, for me, it would take a considerable amount of travel and distance to make it to the ocean.
Screw the rice, that's going to be amazing. It really is even, like, I've seen the ocean many times, and it's still one of the most amazing things to see every time I see it.
Yeah. So, I'm excited about that. Get to see the ocean for the first time. I mean, like, I got close to seeing the ocean. Oh, really? I missed that? I got close to seeing the ocean when I went out to Boston, but I didn't quite get there. So I don't know. I'm really excited about this whole thing.
Oh, that's cool. Getting to see the ocean for the first time is amazing. And that's great.
Yeah. I mean, basically the big thing for me that I want to go there is kind of in a very eat, pray, love sort of way. I just really kind of just need to get away.
Right.
And, oh, thank you, Tiny Beth. She says, I feel so bad for John right now. Yeah, Tiny Beth says, never seen an ocean, gonna basically send the warmest one for a week. Yeah, it would be the Indian Ocean.
Well, I think that'd be great. I think you'll have an amazing time. Hello to Concan 2005. Welcome. How you doing?
So yeah, that's kind of my thing. I mean, I don't get into too much on this show because I try to be more positive and stuff like that. But there's stuff going on that I'm not too happy about right now. I've been pretty stressed out. Been not the happiest I could be, and I think this is kind of going to be like right what I need.
Yeah. No, you need it sometimes. Just a chance to get away.
Yeah.
Have you ever been abroad before?
Plus, no, and that's the thing. This is the first time I'm going to be out of the country as well.
I've never left the UK.
Yeah, I'm
looking forward to it when I finally do.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to being, because like the one thing I'm not looking forward to is my flights. My flight to Bali will be 25 hours altogether. With a 1 hour layover in Qatar. And my flight back will be 35 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And does that come out of your 6 days, or is that...
No, I schedule in such a way that all my time... I don't even know what this is going to do, but... Oh, jeez!
Yeah, it's a hell of a power-up.
But, no,
Still your
I took enough time off from work that I would have 5 days in Bali, and then
crap.
All the other time off I took will be flight, and I think like I gave myself 2 days, also, after I return to kind of, I guess, decompress probably.
Sorry, I had to mute there for a second. Need to sneeze.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, that sounds amazing, by the way. It does sound like an amazing trip. And I bet you're going to enjoy the rice a little bit anyway, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of... so I did the typical tourist thing, you know, when I'm planning this trip. I kind of wanted, like, okay, well, what are some interesting facts about the place that I should learn? And I figured, oh, okay, what's like the national food and what's all this sort of stuff. National food is fried rice.
Fried rice is pretty nice.
Yeah, I like me some fried rice. Oh. So I don't know. Other than that, I kind of had a weird thing last night, or sort of weird realization.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All of Enya's music sounds exactly the fucking same. Just...
This is not an original observation.
No, I'm not saying it was original to the world.
Just like a first time.
Okay, the first player has the crazy, like, advantage in this one.
Yeah, for sure.
But, no, it was one of those weird things, right? Where, you know, like, Muzak systems, okay? Like, you're in a store and you hear a fucking song above you.
Right.
And you're like, oh, well, that happened. Like, I was in
it's always something you half remember.
Right. I was at this, like, kitchen collection, which is sort of sells nothing but cooking implements and things like that. And I'm sitting in there, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm playing. And I hear this song above me, and I know it's Enya, right? I know it's Enya because even if you are, I guess, not a fan, you have heard a damn Enya song.
Yeah, well, they were pretty big for a long time.
Yeah, like stuff like Orinoco Flow and Only Time and all that stuff. So I know it's Enya. I just don't like know what song it is. So I decided to sit down yesterday and
you did your Enya research.
Well, I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out what this song is, because it was in my head. I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I'm like, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just load up Enya on Google, the Google Music Store, and, you know, work from there. I'm sure I can find it pretty easily. I sat there for an hour going through, like the 30-second clips, you know? I'm like, well, okay, well, I know the song I like goes, ha, 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 ha. But that one goes, ha, 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 ha. Okay, so that's not it.
I love how your renditions all sound like first-year recorder students.
but that's fucking her music, man. Like, that's what it is.
All
like...
songs are actually just... All Enya songs are actually hot cross buns. Just with more orchestral backing.
This is another one that I feel is very heavily favored towards you.
Look, we'd have more maps if you said it was okay that we only had a few unlocked.
Do we have other modes?
I don't think so. I could check.
But, yeah, so I'm sitting there, and just, you know how difficult it is to discern the difference between one song that, you know, is all ethereal and shit, and the other one that's also ethereal and shit, but also, like have African notes to it. Like,
it's like trying to remember your favorite hypnotherapy track.
Right.
Was it the one that told me I'm cool and confident, or the one that told me I'm confident and cool?
Well, let's be fair, Owen. Nothing's ever told you that. And meant it.
There's a really weird... This is why we really need to do our Simpsons show, but there's a really, really great episode of The Simpsons where Homer's really excited to go to valet parking, but Marge wants them to park... wants them to park further away, but he goes, Marge... Marge, valets! Finally, someone will call me sir without adding, "You're making a scene."
Hello, Ninth Dimension Gaming. Welcome.
Oh, is my chat a bit behind? I'm not seeing, I don't see Ninth Dimension Gaming. Oh, it's this new Top Chat live chat thing.
Yeah. Thing sucks.
Yeah, it really does.
So yeah, those are my interesting things of the week. Enya and Bali. So, what do you got, man? What you been up to?
I saw something kind of amusing just before I started. So, there's a PlayStation store sale right now.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And they're selling that
I found out about this game.
That last Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game that just came out. That one that was like really bugged and was not actually finished upon release, and so there was a huge day one patch, and then a lot of all the functions were shifted to online so that they could basically add content in as online stuff. Because it just was really... Do you remember that? There was a big controversy. It was really buggy. So it's on sale for like £5. And a lot of people are buying it for the first time, having passed it over in the past because it was pretty poorly received. And hey, £5, I want to give it a try, only to find that the servers have been shut down. So,
oh my god!
So like, 75% of the game's content is no longer playable.
Oh my god! It's EA, isn't it?
I believe it's Activision, but I could be wrong. It's one of them. Video games. This is video games now. This is the future.
Yes. This is what we have.
I finally traded in my copy of Battlefront 2. I'm going to use it to buy... I'm going to use the proceeds to buy a new PlayStation hard drive. So I don't have to keep reinstalling games every podcast.
That'd be nice.
But yeah. Oh, also, I saw that Kevin Smith had a huge heart attack yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. That sucks. Like, especially since like you can clearly see though that he's been trying to like lose weight.
He looks completely different last few years.
Yeah, like he's absolutely changed things around. It's kind of it's one of those things, you know, where you hear about this sort of thing a lot. I guess not a lot, but it's like it's not uncommon in my field of employment to hear very tragic stories about people's health. You know, since most of the people that I cater to are elderly and things like that. But one of the things I hear a lot is like a story that kind of goes very similar to she gave up smoking after 20 years and then immediately got lung cancer. It's that sort of thing to me, where it's
But the things like that, right? Someone who gave up smoking after 20 years then immediately got lung cancer, like, they weren't like a picture of health, presumably.
Right, I get it, but it's still sad to hear, like, okay, the person finally made the decision to better themselves and then immediately got hit with the thing that they were going to try to avoid.
He gouged out 95% of his eyes, then decided to stop, and he went blind!
You are just the fucking model of compassion in the world, aren't you?
No, I'm just saying that...
You're just saying...
A single decision, like, can't be reflective of, like, a lifetime health thing. Like, I mean...
No one is suggesting that, Owen. I'm just saying it's sad to hear.
Oh, it is.
I'm not saying...
I agree.
I'm not saying, like, oh, gee, I can't believe she got cancer. I understand why she got cancer. I'm just saying it's sad to hear.
Why are you telling the story on our comedy podcast?
You're the one who brought up Kevin Smith's heart attack.
Yeah, that story was funny, I thought. No, sorry, I'm only kidding. We love you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Who's definitely listening from his hospital bed to his favorite show.
one of those things we sit there like, oh, I got nothing better to do. I'll go check out this podcast. This live stream is going on right now. Those sons of
Kevin
bitches.
Smith's dying.
No, I think we've both have proclaimed to be very big fans of Kevin in the past.
Yeah. He did say that it was that he had what the artery they call the Widowmaker completely clogged. That's the one that's supposed to be like the deadliest one to lose.
Right. Did you see his tweet or did you see his
I saw his tweet. Did you see the picture he had? He looked quite well, I thought.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised. I thought he was looking chipper.
He actually has a big expansion on that tweet in his Instagram. Where he talks more. It's actually very bittersweet and profound, the things he said on there. Because it was a tweet exactly, but then it goes on further, and basically saying that his biggest fear in his entire life was dying. Like he never made any bones about that. He was terrified of dying. And he said that he never thought that he would actually die in a dignified manner, because I guess his father died screaming from a heart attack, and he was kind of worried that the same thing would happen to him. But he basically said that in his situation, that as they were about to perform surgery on him, he had like an acceptance to it. Like, he was okay. He was cool with it.
Just weird. I've always felt the same way. Like, I've never been able to picture myself comfortable with death. Obviously, I've never faced death, so I can't say, like, I have an acceptance of it. But I've always been terrified of it. And I've always been convinced...
Give me 1 second here, guys.
Yep. Here I am, bearing my heart. And Jonathan's off, probably to check on some rice. Scandalous. Hopefully it makes it back in the next 12 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Ooh, I feel like I can kind of hear him saying something. Hey! That's what that does. Ninth Dimension Gaming says, anyone who is not afraid of anything is actually just afraid of fear itself. No, not necessarily.
I wouldn't go that far.
Although it's still bouncing around. Apparently when your timer runs out, it just fires your shot wherever you left it. Which I think is kind of funny.
I did okay.
Yeah, I didn't do too badly. So yeah, like, I've always been frightened of death, and I've always been, my entire life, I don't know why, but I've always been convinced that I won't die of old age.
Right.
That I'll die young.
I think that's actually a very common thought.
Maybe. You know when people say, whenever something bad happens, people say, I never thought it would happen to me. I always thought that was something that happens to other people. I've never felt like that. I've always felt like everything is going to happen to me. I guess it's because of anxiety and stuff. But I did once have, weirdly, I know this is a totally different situation to the Kevin Smith situation, because he was actually dying. But I did have a nightmare a couple of years ago, and it was a little bit after my dad died. I had a nightmare that, I think it was like a nightmare of like nuclear war or something. It was something like being caught in an explosion. I don't remember what. And I remember completely and totally in my dream believing I was going to die and being weirdly okay with it. And then waking up and being more frightened than I'd been in my dream. Like, what the shit was that? So I don't know.
My big thing about death is, like, I guess I'm afraid to die. I'm more or less afraid to not see it coming.
Oh, no, I'm the opposite.
Like, I'm... Like, I think it sounds really weird. But I think about... I get weird moments of anxiety when I play, like, shooters. And you're in that... The sniper stage, where you're just popping dudes left and right, with headshots.
Yeah.
That sounds horrific to me. Like, the idea of just walking along one day and then boom, just getting smoked in the head or something like that, that sounds just terrifying to me.
But you never know.
That's I don't know. I guess for me, I like the idea that if death is coming, right? If I'm gonna die, I have at the very least a few moments to get my shit in order.
To go, well, this was my life.
Right. Like I need just a few moments of reflection. I can't have it just end.
See, I'm the opposite. Do you know what always terrifies me the most? You know when you read stories of people who miscalculated something and ended up falling off a cliff? Or like... You know that story about that guy who used to run into the windows on that really tall building to prove how reinforced the glass was? And they did it every day, every time he was inducting new residents in the office. And then one day he'd done it so many times, he'd actually broken the plaster and stuff around the frame. So the whole window stayed intact, but the frame just came out. And then he fell to his death, right? Now that story, don't get me wrong, that's funny, but... But can you imagine slowly falling to your... I say slowly, but you know what I mean. Can you imagine falling to your death and having a long time to know that you're falling to your death and you're definitely going to die? And then also knowing that... And my own bad judgment... Like, my entire life has been a case of people... Like, I've talked before about, like, I didn't have exactly the most supportive family. Like, even my dad, who... I was really close to my dad, but he could be... He was born in 1926, and he liked to tell people to just get on with it. Why are you making this mistake? When I was your age, I had, like, a job. And... and I was good at it. And people were going to war. So he expected people to be, like... He expected me to be, like a fully competent, well-rounded, completely skilled adult... At like 11, do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So he would, like, as nice as, like, I love my dad a lot, but he was kind of, sometimes it felt like he was always, like, at me that. My worst, so my entire life, like, that is my inner voice, right? My inner voice is, well, you fucked that up, you know? Well, screwed that up. You know, even if it's just, like, a tiny mistake, like right. I've just bought a book, and it's really nice. It's a brand new book. It's all nice and printed. And I happen to put it on a bookcase in such a way that a corner folds over. Well, that was a nice thing you had for about 30 minutes. You fuck up. Do you know what I mean? That is sort of my inner monologue. Yeah. And as I get older, I get better at... That's always there. Like, that's been trained into me for such a young age that's not going anywhere. But what I do as I get older is I learn things like your thoughts aren't you. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't create them, and they aren't a product necessarily of what's actually true about what's going on in your brain, things like that. But could you imagine, like, that being a problem your entire life, and then your final thought is, well, you fucked this up, Owen. Could have had another good 20 years there. You're just falling to your death now, you idiot. That, to me, is, like, my nightmare. And crawling into a cave and getting trapped. Ugh, that's the most frightening thing in the world to me.
It's hard to say, because I have something kind of similar what's going on with me. Like, I very often find myself, like, getting annoyed at myself for being too confident in this situation. Like even little things like video games. Like, oh, I'm gonna plow through this level, no big deal, and I die or something. I'm like, oh, really, Jonathan? He's really just gonna run their guns a-blazing, huh? Idiot. I kind of have that thing. And so, in a weird sense, like, your guy's story about falling to his death after, you know, being super confident that, oh yeah, this window's gonna hold, and blah, 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 and... Like, that sounds really horrific to me. Like, I've thought a lot, like, oh, I think I might actually like to go, skydiving, you know?
Do you know what?
And
actually,
I thought about,
I will say this. It doesn't bother me as much when I imagine it happening to you.
Oh, I imagine, yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
You can't imagine the big smile on my face about the fact you trapped in a cave. I was actually pretty stoked there for a bit. We're friends. But yeah, I think about like oh, it'd be nice to go skydiving someday. And I'm like, yeah, because you know, the first time you go skydiving, they don't let you go by yourself. You have to go with a trained professional, you know, who they're tied to you. And like, wow, I can't believe that just happened to me. But like, like I don't want to be in a situation where like I get the skydiving, you know, tied to my back. It was like, yeah, I've jumped 159 times and not a problem. I've put in 10,000 hours of flight time. You know, you're in good hands. And then he has that situation where it's like, wow, you were really confident going into this, and now you're about to die. You know,
right. Like
not strapped to his back.
I definitely have that thing, the just my luck thing, which is like if I don't go skydiving ever in my life, I don't ever have to risk that the instructor tied to my back is going to be like the infamous skydiving murderer of London town. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I was like, that's what I would get. Like, I wouldn't even die in the skydive. Like, the Red Baron would emerge from a time portal and shoot. Time travel would be discovered that day, as the Luftwaffe would emerge and shoot down my skydiving plane or something, you know? And all the people on the ground would be safe.
Right, because the worst thing in the world is to be the wow, no one saw that coming guy.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I'm glad we're okay. Yeah, it sucks for that guy. Like,
right, because you wouldn't even be remembered sadly. People would be like, this is the day we discovered that aliens existed. As a UFO demolished this man's face as it entered our atmosphere. It's like the scene from Independence Day when the UFOs arrive and start blowing up buildings, but I'm like a tiny little digital, like, artifact off in the corner of one of the frames, like, ah! Captured in this historic footage. No!
Like, you don't want to be a lyric in an Alanis Morissette song, you know? Like that's oh god, that sounds so bad to me. Like oh, it's like oh, the thing like
when skydiving, when the aliens arrived.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? He's got one hand in his pocket, the other one is playing Please Don't Shoot. But
I am now just thinking about the skydiving serial killer of London town. This needs to be a film. Oh yeah, he died of shock. What's all that blood back there?
shock.
100 cc's of shock.
Spilled out over the... Spilled all over Trafalgar Square, you know.
It's spraying out when like skydivers do those little do the air shows, you know, the what a performance.
Do you guys hear something?
Avenge me! Sure, for a skydiving instructor, a lot of your people are coming down with mysterious poison-like heart complaints.
Oh, we hit a flock of birds on the way down. Just
poison birds.
Poison birds.
You emerge with a whole
are.
albatross rammed into your throat. And the words "I'll kill again" scored into your back. Whole lot of shock with this one.
Yeah, Order Chaos says, get the skydiving safety who just had their spouse leave them. No.
So every time you go, so yeah, and you are married, you say, just before we do this jump. You are married?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna count to 3, I'm gonna slap you on the back. When you feel the slap, jump out of the plane. I'll be right behind you. 3, 2, 1, slap. Here we go. Julie, I gave everything to you! What? Nothing!
He's like, alright, Sarah, you ready to go? Yep, I'm ready to go. Alright, I'm gonna count down from 3. You ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Alright, 1, 2, I'll never love again. What was that? 3! Ah!
When I count to 10, pull the cord, which will release my still beating heart, leaving me dead inside like she did.
I have filled the parachute with nothing but dirty laundry, just like what ruined our relationship.
You also don't want the guy who's had an affair, you know? Oh yeah, on my last time my wife found out, she went through all my fabrics, cut big holes in the pants, the handkerchiefs, anything she could find, really. You don't keep your parachutes at home, do you? No, only the spares, only the training shoots. What?
You know, yours.
But there are almost all things that would just terrify me about that. Like, going out with the parachute guy strapped to the back, I would have to ask, like, so, one of these parachutes can take, like, 2 people, right? I don't know. Only one way to find out!
Kind of winging this.
I thought you had the parachute. What? How would that work?
I paid you!
Oh, well.
Oh, God. So, we've established here that we are... we are cowards of men.
I would definitely find skydiving kind of rough. And potholing. Ugh. Did you read that story that went around? Potholing, cave diving.
Oh. Yeah.
Did you...
I've gone into caves before.
Did you read that story that went around the internet a few years ago about that guy who died in a cave? It was really heartbreaking. He'd gone on a family...
I think you did mention it to me.
Climbing trip. Climbed forward and thought that he was coming out into a different shaft that he wasn't, so he went forward instead of back when he started getting stuck, and he ended up basically suspended upside down, trapped. They couldn't get him out, and he died while everyone knew he was going to die, and they couldn't get him out of the cave. That is my worst nightmare. Ninth Dimension Gaming says, Owen, do you believe in reincarnation? No.
Nope.
Next question!
That's a big negatory. So, I'm curious.
If that's the right word for a next life as someone else, or something else. The Hindus believe that you're on a ladder up to humanity. Which really, I think there's a big problem with that. It sort of assumes that we're automatically, like, the most deserving... I mean, it seems to me that really, if you wanted to get the best out of reincarnation, you'd gradually go to less and less sophisticated parts of life till you didn't really have any problems, you know?
Right.
Like the idea that if you're bad, you become moss. You know, you see how cushy moss gets it? I want to be moss.
Yeah, I guess.
You're on the path up to have all the ennui. Do you know what my favorite theory of reincarnation is? I think that this is a kid, right? This would be like the ultimate religious philosophy to get people to treat you right? This is my philosophy. Every time you die, right, your soul goes to be someone else in human history, right? Could be anyone. Could be someone from the past, someone from the future, someone else on the planet, whether they're born yet or not. And actually, you're just one person kicking around the whole human race, bit by bit. And eventually, you'll be everybody. And when you've been everybody, then you get to move on.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. Because imagine all those murderers that have just killed themselves over and over again.
Ugh.
It's It's really terrible if you're the murderer first, though, because then you have to spend the whole time having learnt your lesson going, no! Why am I doing this to me again?
Oh, man. Loose Corner asks, how are you both, John and Owen? I don't think we've answered this before, but I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing alright.
I'm not incredibly happy right now because of, I forgot to buy coffee. And...
Ooh.
Yeah, so I had to go with tea today, which is normally not a bad thing. I like tea as well, but I was almost out of tea as well, except for a lone box of echinacea tea, which is fucking gross.
Is that even tea? Here we have a lot of things where they're like, look, it's this tea, and it contains no tea.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a bag of flowers. I honestly think it's potpourri.
I'm a tea purist in that sense. I don't like things that call themselves tea but contain no actual tea.
Hello, Gregory Hoorn. I always have a hard time seeing right away if that's an M or an R and N. So I'm like, Hoorn. Gregory
Now, to mention,
Hurney.
Gamer says the theory of reincarnation is that you forget your past life. So, what would be the point of it if that was the case? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People have different theories. Some people say that you don't so much forget as you sort of grow out of acknowledging it, and that you can reopen it just by connecting on a spiritual level. Those people, believe something that isn't true. No, I've talked about this before. I don't believe in a soul or an afterlife or anything. Sorry. I know it's a boring answer, but I am of the opinion that it happens to be the true one.
No. Or it is not as bad as the candy. But it's still pretty bad. That tea.
Oh, you loved the Palm of Violets.
Oh, God.
So you were saying, was it today that you'd had the Marmite on toast?
Yeah, today was a big day with toast for me. It was a big toast day.
I want to get that on a t-shirt. That could be the t-shirt that sums up, like, John's catchphrase. Today was a big toast day for me.
So,
and on the back it says, have you heard about all the different types of clown?
Ask me about my clown preference. I'm just gonna get a trucker's hat that says "Keep on clowning." A friend of the show. They don't get to really drop in too much because of the time zone. But we have a good friend who, at one point, went by the phrase "Master Yap Gaming." I don't know if he's changed his YouTube channel or not name yet, but
he has.
But he has.
Yes.
Okay. Well, he sent me some stuff for Christmas. That was it was these little boxes of like chocolate flakes and like fruit sprinkles and like another like chocolate sprinkles, and apparently they go on toast. I should say that he's from, oh god, I'm gonna get this wrong, Netherlands, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I got it right. He's from Netherlands, and apparently this is something that they sell that it's toast topper. You slather your toast in butter, and then you're supposed to, put this stuff on there. And the thing is that I'm not a big toast eater, and between these toast sprinkles that I got, and then Owen sent me Marmite for Christmas, which is also supposed to go on toast and butter.
That's how I like it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be prescriptionist about it.
I've heard a lot of other people say that's the proper way to eat it.
It is nicest like that. But sorry, continue.
So it just took me a long time to get both bread and butter to make toast. I don't buy that stuff very often. And just the other day I was in the store, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I had all that stuff. So I bought a loaf of bread and some butter. And today I was able to try it all. So for breakfast I had 4 pieces of toast. One with Marmite and butter, one with butter and fruit sprinkles, one with chocolate sprinkles and butter, and one with butter and chocolate flakes. and I just, just had a little taste test. It's all pretty good. Big toast day. I live an exciting life.
Toast's one of those things where I'm the same as you. I don't have it that often, but you've got it when you want it. You're like, oh, I want some toast.
Yeah.
I go through toast phases, and then once I've had it, I'll go for like a week of just having toast every day for a bit. I'm like, you know what? I can't bother doing toast today. And then I will not have toast for a few months.
Oh, what are your favorite ways to eat toast?
Yeah, chat, give it to us. I like toast very lightly toasted with nice soft butter. I'm not a big fan of a very toasted toast. When I was a kid, my family used to say I liked toast so it was still cold in the middle. I like a little bit more toasted than that these days, but yeah. Just a whisper of toasting.
What's your... Okay, so you like butter on it. Do you like any other stuff on your toast?
I love marmalade on toast, but my girlfriend hates it, so we never tend to buy it because I don't have it often enough to... use a jar before the jar goes bad, kind of. And marmite marmalade lasts forever, but you guys have marmalade there, right? You know what marmalade is, right?
Yeah, we have marmalade.
I love marmalade.
Now, do you do the baked beans in toast?
Occasionally, not often. What I tend to do is I'll sometimes do like a full fried breakfast, and I'll have toast with beans. Lately, I've been having toast with bacon and egg. This morning, the last few days.
That is very specific. Ninth Dimension Gaming. Ninth Dimension Gaming says, golden crispy with lots of butter cut diagonally into 2 triangles. Triangles, or I won't eat it.
I did see something in a charity shop the other day that I was so tempted to buy it, and then I couldn't justify buying it because it was ridiculous. But I really wanted to buy it because... Have you ever wanted to buy something just because it's so clearly tacky?
Oh, yeah.
But you're like, oh, I want that. It was called a Tefl Toast and Beans.
Oh, God.
And it was a big toaster, like a 2-slice toaster, but big enough to get like a good bagel in without cramming on the sides, you know? It's a nice big toaster. And then on the side it had a little hot plate with 2 separate pans that you could cook, you could fry an egg in and do a portion of beans.
Wow.
It's like a little... And everything
I love
about
the
it...
specific,
Right. That was the greatest... Right, but if you want to have 2 slices of toast and exactly the same quantity of beans and an egg every morning, it is exactly the right applies to you. And I was so tempted to buy it, and I was gonna buy it, and I was like, oh no, I can't just... I went back and forth, and I sent Beth a text. I was like, should I buy this or should I not? It's really tacky, and we have a toaster, but it's really cheap, and I think it's, hideous, but also really funny. And the more hideous it was, the more I wanted to use it. But I didn't get it. And then when I got home, I really, really regretted it. I was like, I wish I bought that Tefl toast. Oh, okay. And I went and I cooked myself some toasted egg and beans. I was just sad. It was sad. It was like, this is not the same.
It would have been so much better.
But it wouldn't. It would have been significantly worse. I can guarantee it wouldn't be as nice as the toast and beans I did it myself, and I was still sad. I was like, this is not the Tefl toast and bean experience.
This wasn't what I was promised. I was promised the American dream, or the British dream, of the Tefl toast and bean.
The more I thought about it, the more I thought it was an awful product, and the more I wanted it. Which is very funny.
Or Chaos says, I ran out of bagels, so cream cheese spread on toast, but bagels are usually still better. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of cream cheese on toast.
If I have to choose a toasted bread product to eat for breakfast, it is bagels. I love bagels.
Yeah, I like a bagel. I liked it when McDonald's started doing them, actually, because it used to be tricky to get a good bagel here, you know? And then they started selling them with a little pot of Philadelphia, and and when they first came out, the pot of Philadelphia was officially
the city itself, a tiny pot.
Do you guys have that brand?
City Philadelphia.
I don't know if you have it. Do you have Philadelphia here there?
Of course, yes, it's in Pennsylvania.
Shut up! Do you have the brand of Philadelphia cream cheese? I don't know.
Yes, of course.
I mean, I assumed... The reason I didn't clarify this to begin with is I assumed Philadelphia wasn't a British brand. But, could have been, I suppose. I mean, the word Philadelphia, I know it is the state of Philadelphia, but it sounds kind of, Egyptian, doesn't it? Sorry, yes. It sounds kind of Egyptian, doesn't it? So I guess it's not an English word originally.
I thought it was French, honestly.
Shall I look it up?
Or, maybe. Yeah,
I could go for the really
Where
crass...
does Philadelphia come from?
A really crass joke would be like, it's a little put of Tom Hanks with AIDS, but, you know, thought we'll keep it tasteful.
Until you mention it.
That would be a hell of a breakfast.
No. Pink.
Did you, Oh, for other uses, see Philadelphia, disambiguation. The capital of Jordan, called Philadelphia during the Hellenistic and Roman periods. Oh, there you go.
You're gonna go?
Presumably what it's named after. Oh, sorry, I was busy looking up Philadelphia.
But
yeah, they used to give you really teeny tiny pots. There wasn't enough for half a bagel, McDonald's.
Right. It's here. They don't really... I'm sure you can get it, but they don't really just sell bagels here. At McDonald's, what they have is like bagel sandwiches, which are...
Yeah, they do those too.
You know, yeah. But they have like... What I really like about them is that they come with like this, like kind of not quite hollandaise sauce.
Ew.
Oh, it's so good, but it's like this... It's a creamier hollandaise sauce that almost has more like consistency like a mayonnaise, but it tastes kind of hollandaise-ish. And they put those on the bagel sandwiches, and it's so good. So good.
I always like when you go places and they have that watered-down horseradish that they call horsey sauce. And you're like...
Arby's?
Yeah, we have it other places.
Weird. The only place in this country that calls horseradish sauce horsey sauce is Arby's.
Maybe someone from here went abroad and was like, that's an idiotic tradition we should adopt. I think it's actually like horseradish and mayo, though, isn't it? Horsey sauce.
I don't know. I don't like horseradish at all.
Do you like horsey sauce?
No.
Because the problem is, right, horseradish, you know what that is, right? It's horseradish. That's a plant that is called horseradish. But when you make a sauce out of horseradish and you choose to call it not horseradish sauce, but horsey sauce, that to me implies something very different.
Isn't it just glue? Like...
Or something. I don't know.
Oh. Well, you know, they make glue out of horses, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They don't really do that anymore.
I hope not.
But you know very well there's some old people out there who are like, you know, glue just isn't as sticky as it used to be. You know, if they would have just stuck to using horses like they used to.
Well,
no.
it'll come full circle in a few years. On every corner in every major city, you'll be able to get artisanal glue.
Oh, you're out of the rosemary and basil glue?
You're out of the rosemary and pony, Shetland pony. That's my favorite.
I only like my glue made out of free-range organic Arabian horse.
Come in early, bring your kids, render your own mare.
Ninth Dimension Gaming
just keep
says,
applying the heat there.
That's great.
Okay, Steven, just keep
for being vegan.
Just keep applying the heat there. Just.
Oh, and then Ninth Dimension Gaming follows up with, JK, I don't know why I made that joke. Well, what the hell, man? I was ready to give you props for being vegan and, you know, doing the vegan thing, and you know what? Oh, I'm just sad.
It doesn't work as a joke, because someone who's not vegan, who just announces they're vegan for no reason, is technically indistinguishable from a normal vegan.
really funny to me. Oh, my shot. Oh shit.
Have you seen these people who eat meat but not eat meat often? And they call themselves flexitarians.
Oh, good God.
Because that's a thing you see.
So really, what makes you a flexitarian is having, like tastes? Like...
I guess.
It's like, oh yeah, today I'm just not really feeling meat.
Right. Is it a borderline thing? If I go to a restaurant and I have the vegetarian lasagna instead of the beef, just because I like a vegetarian lasagna sometimes, am I for that day a flexitarian? For I have been flexible enough. Because it does imply that if you don't eat meat all the time, if you don't eat meat all the time every meal, you're somehow like if you are not a vegetarian, if you eat meat, you are somehow compelled to have it with every serving.
Yeah, I mean, isn't a flexitarian just an omnivore? Like, we already have a word for that.
Yeah, normal person who eats meat but doesn't like it that much. There you go. That's a lot of words, but you know, we don't need a word for it.
Oh, I figured out what the boing 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 thing is.
Yeah, this guy.
The gopher. Yeah.
It's like when they used to call people who live off food from bins and dumpsters freegans. You remember?
Oh yeah. Who are the freaks that used to only eat food that, like, naturally fell from trees and shit? You heard about this?
I don't know.
You've heard about that, though, right?
I remember it being a joke in the movie Notting Hill. You remember that?
No.
You remember the movie Notting Hill? It was huge.
I've never seen Notting Hill. I know the movie, but I don't know the joke.
It's actually a good film. Sinister Minister says, nutcase. I think that was right. No. The people who only eat nutcases were called something else, I think.
Yeah, George Washington Carver.
Sure, it's great. The man who went from cutting up George Washington's meat went on to have such an illustrious career. Don't like with that.
He is?
George Washington Carver, yeah, he made things out of peanuts.
Yeah.
And he turned that into fame and fortune.
Well, it was a little bit more than that. He basically saved the agricultural industry of an entire region of the country with the peanut thing.
Yeah, but you know that there was an element of, like, flubbing the details, right? Like, history goes, you know, we had peanut oil, peanut butter, all these wonderful products. You know that before that we went through 35, like, it's the peanut car! And everyone's going around in, like, the Flintstones. Flintstones vehicles made out of peanut shells and bare feet. Doesn't go that well over the peanut shell road. Damn you, George Washington Carver!
It's peanut glue. You know, back in my day when we made our glue out of horse and peanuts, it was way stickier.
The posters, and this is pre-peanut butter, so the posters are just being fixed to the walls with a dry powder made of peanut shells. It doesn't work. Shush, we're trying to save the agricultural industry. It won't stay on the wall.
I like to think that, like, peanut butter actually was the first, like, prototype of the peanut glue. Like, stop eating the glue! It's delicious!
I was trying to glue my dog's mouth shut and it just fell there.
He loves it! He's way on board. Let's see here. Lou's Corner says, in my opinion, the term flexitarian is really idiotic, if you get me. Well, we get you. You either eat all meat, some meat, or no meat. And nothing but the meat, so help you God.
Yeah. Well, I get you, because that's what we said.
No, you're absolutely right, Lou's Corner. That the term flexitarian is stupid. It's just stupid.
Unless you live exclusively on, like, flex pipes from, like, vacuum cleaners and stuff. And cords, you know? If you just eat electrical flexes, you know? Then it's okay.
Then in that case, yeah.
Chow down, my friend!
Mean, you're gonna die, but well done. You stuck to your guns. So, in an attempt to make this somewhat pop culture-y, did you hear about? Okay, have you heard all about this thing that Ubisoft is making, like this educational tool using the Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, I heard about
engine?
This.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is just like a modded version of Origins that turns it into a museum, basically, right?
Right. But apparently they have made a decision to they've made a decision to censor like these classic works of art.
I did see that.
By putting seashells over the naughty bits.
This is really strange to me because, like, I understand a certain degree of censorship. Like, I wouldn't expect them to put violent death scenes, or there are topless characters sometimes walking around in Origins too, because it's, you know, ancient Egyptian peasants that live near the beach, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand moderating that a little bit. But...
Sure.
But
because there's no historical context.
I mean, do we... I don't remember people censoring statues when we were a kid. When we were kids. When we were right. a child.
And that's the thing, like, and here's the thing, I don't even think that this is, like, Ubisoft's, like, decision. I get the feeling that they kind of do this just so to avoid any possible...
Right.
You know, controversy. But it's like... At that point, you're kind of defeating the purpose of having an educational tool.
Right.
I guess if you're... I don't know. It just seems like a really dumb decision to me. Cause I remember as a kid, like we had educational computer programs and stuff like that, and funny enough, I remember we had one that taught science and anatomy, or you know, anatomy and, you know, human sciences, and you basically had which this is the funny part to me, is that you had a version of Adam and Eve guiding you through the whole thing, and it came with the option to add the fig leaves or not. You could turn that on and off.
As you do.
And, you know, yeah, and, you know, a bunch of us, you know, we're all in, like, 6th grade, so of course we all turn that shit off.
Eve, the first centerfold.
Pretty much. Sorry. The way Ninth Dimension Gaming just worded this made me really laugh. Ninth Dimension Gaming says, my friend's mom has a calendar with 2 children showing their pee-pee, if you will. So, this in lies the problem, okay? The reason why Ubisoft, I feel, is compelled to do this is terms like that. I just don't think a lot of Western cultures, and don't get me wrong, I know there's some Eastern cultures that are far more conservative, than both, England, and America and all these other places in the West. But we do tend to have an issue with that sort of thing, don't we? Where it's like...
Speak for yourself. Britain is known for its easygoing and comfortable with itself nature, we British people.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the Victorian era.
Well, it's a relatively recent thing. There's a guy called Ian Hislop, does historical documentaries, and he did a documentary about the origin of the phrase, the British stiff upper lip, the don't show any emotion. And he found an early account of, I believe it was a European visitor to Britain during the 16 or 1700s. And he was basically talking about how everywhere you went, all the people in Britain greeted new visitors with hugs and kisses all the time, before and after a meal.
Right.
And it says, and then it's time for dinner, where kisses will be exchanged again. He's like frustrated by the propensity for British people to kiss. And then we went through a period where it became very fashionable to show lots of emotions. But yes, it was the Victorians that absolutely settled us into that.
Yes. Have a good one, guys. Luz and Ninth Dimension Gaming. Have a good day.
See you guys.
Thank you for watching. Yeah, it just seems really, really dumb to me, where it's like, okay, if I'm going to make an effort to make an educational tool depicting historical depictions of this artwork, you kind of have to show it in its actual form, right?
Right. You can censor through omission by saying, I won't show the kids this because it might be inappropriate. What you can't do is deliberately change something historical, I think.
Right, because like, when you add...
They're just going back and forth there, aren't they?
Yep. I was like... Okay. It's like we're watching volleyball. But the thing is, like, what is generally important about seeing artwork from the past or history is there is something to be said about, okay, well, from like art technique and like art theory and stuff like that. Sure, but a majority, I think, of the importance of seeing this art is to see... I mean, seeing artwork from the past is essentially seeing the pop culture of that day and age.
I really need to get playing Origins again. It really is a good game. I love the way Assassin's Creed brings historical... I think this museum thing's a really good idea, because one of the nice things about playing an Assassin's Creed game is it makes you think of people from those times as real in a way that sometimes just a movie doesn't,
Right. Well, and then, like, from what I understand about this thing, too, is that they're actually doing something really kind of clever, at least for me, I think, in terms of engaging kids, is that they're leaving the engine intact, so, like, to get to these artworks, where you have to do the climbing and stuff.
It's a good call.
And so you basically have to climb all around, Alexandria to uncover these paintings. And...
to uncover them?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the incentive. Let them do some climbing to show off some tits. That'll get them doing some sweet education.
Yeah.
Kids coming home, locking themselves in the bedroom for hours and hours and hours after...
I'm doing my homework!
Don't come in!
Leave me alone! Oh, so you're done with your homework? Yeah. Why are you all so sweaty?
Why are all your papers stuck together?
Why does your room smell like salt water? Oh.
Well, here's the thing. I know for a fact that I saw lots of statues that I'm sure were nudie, like, when I was a kid.
Oh, absolutely.
But can I ask you a question? Can you remember, like, I can remember statues that I saw that were naked in pictures and things like that, and that I've known about for a long time. I don't remember ever, like, seeing them and it having, like, an adverse sexual influence on me.
Right.
I don't have a thing for statues.
You know, like, I never saw, you know, Venus de Milo and be like, I gotta go, you know, crank one out real quick, you know? Just...
Yeah, I always was tempted to lend her a hand, though. I imagine that's frustrating after a while.
Sir, what are you doing to that statue? She's pent up!
There is that famous stained statue. Have you heard the story of this one?
No.
There was a sculptor who made a... he was famous for making sculptures of flesh that looked so like if you touched them they would actually be sort of soft and pliable, you know? That he became famous through all of Rome and wherever he was from. I don't remember who it was. This is really half a story. But there's a statue that famously has a mark in the marble on the inner thigh. And it is just a bit of discolored stone.
Right.
But because it was a really famous statue and because it had this mark, an urban myth of the time essentially built up that on the night it was unveiled, a man in the crowd became so enamored with it and so completely fell in love with it that he had attempted to mate with the statue and left a stain. So, funnily enough, the ancient Romans made the same gags we did about all this crap. I kind of like that, you know?
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing about, like, blue humor is it's not new. Like, I mean, Shakespeare was one of the most well-known, I guess you can say, like, shock comics, you know?
Shakespeare, the Andy Cow. Oh, God, yeah. I was going to say.
The Andrew Dice Clay of his time.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was leaning towards saying Andy Kaufman because I thought that would be funny. Because I enjoy the idea of Shakespeare doing, like, performance art comedy. But, I watched a movie, and you should watch it, because it's the most car crash film I've seen in a long time.
Oh, boy.
There's a film on Netflix called Jim and Andy.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Looked just so pretentious.
Watch it.
Oh, God.
Trust me. It's mostly archive footage of behind the scenes. You remember when every movie had a little behind the scenes movie that they'd show on TV when it came out?
Yeah.
It's all the behind the scenes footage they were filming in preparation for Man on the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about how Jim Carrey became basically full-on method actor guy to play Andy Kaufman. And it's all this behind-the-scenes footage that you're watching it and you're like, well, Jim Carrey basically looks like kind of a prick in this. He's just upsetting people. And there are some really cringeworthy moments. And then later on, they basically reveal in the film the studio blocked any of the footage from being released on the grounds that they didn't. That the exact words of the studio were, "We didn't want people to think Jim Carrey was an asshole." And it's cringing. There's one moment where Andy Kaufman's family come to the set to see the filming, and he insists on talking to them as in character, and they're playing it like then Jim Carrey talks to the camera and basically explains how, you know, it was good for them and it was good for me, and then he tells the story. It's the worst fucking thing. It's the most cringe-inducing film I've ever seen. He tells the story of how Andy Kaufman had a father who had a daughter who he fathered just before he went on to be on Taxi, and they never met, right? And Andy Kaufman's daughter came to see him, and Jim Carrey then proceeds to explain how they went into his trailer and had a long heart-to-heart where he went and told her all the things that and acknowledged her as his daughter and got all the feelings out.
Oh no!
It's not even the worst thing that happens in the film. It's terrible. I've lost almost all. I don't have a huge amount of respect for Jim Carrey, but he always seemed like a nice enough guy, you know. It's awful. It's a car crash. It's an absolute car crash of an attempt at a really artsy documentary about, oh, look at this. It's really trying to be like, look at this amazing lengths he went to for his art. There's one bit later on where they talk about, oh, what was that name of the wrestler that Andy Kaufman wrestled?
Oh, Jim Lawver.
Yes. So he's
Jerry
in
the King Lawler.
He was in Man on the Moon playing himself, right?
Yeah.
And Andy Kaufman and him were actually friends. They orchestrated that, right? It was choreographed behind the scenes, right? But Jim Carrey decides that he's going to, behind the scenes of the movie, treat him as Andy Kaufman treated him as a performance. Like, mock him and start fights with him, right? And he and Andy Kaufman faked a fight where Andy Kaufman pretended to actually be unconscious and go to the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. Jim Carrey actually antagonizes him in the ring to the point where he hits him and then pretends to go to the hospital. It's incredible. It might be the most incredible documentary I've ever seen in my entire life that wanted me to think one thing and came away with me thinking something completely different, and I still enjoyed it in a way. It's awful. It's awful.
Oh my god. That thought with the daughter thing really kind of fucks with me.
Yeah, it's terrible. Me too.
Yeah. I don't mean to jump ship, but it actually reminds me of a kind of a scenario I just dealt with in Persona 5, which I'm still playing.
Oh yeah.
And so I went through the premise of the game before, where you're kind of going into these people's hearts. They're like distorted versions of the world and things like that. Well, hello, Sam Foreman. Welcome.
Pardon me, sorry about that.
The last one I had to go into this. They call them palaces in the game. I had to go into this girl's palace, and what makes it different from the rest of the game is that she actually requests you. She asks your characters outright, please, steal my heart, change my life.
So prior to this, were you entering girls' palaces without their permission?
No, all men.
No. Hello. No.
But oh shit, that's my But the idea is that she's convinced herself that she has murdered her mother, right? But you find out basically the truth of the matter is that no, she didn't kill her mother. Her mother committed suicide. But these family members and stuff to get what they wanted out of like inheritance and stuff like that, convinced this girl that it was her fault that her mom committed suicide.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and which completely just wrecked her emotionally, and you have to go into this separate world and put it basically put things back together in her memory to give her the real thing. But the thing is they go into great lengths about how all these people were speaking as her mother to convince her of what had happened. There was a lot of stuff like, well, we knew your mother, we knew she would never have done this, so it must have been you. And it's that whole sort of thing of like, oh, I know this person, they would have loved this sort of thing,
right?
Which often is not the truth, but that whole segment of that game is based on that concept of, oh, well, I know this person and this is what they would have thought. But yeah, that's what you said about the Andy Kaufman bit really kind of reminded me of that.
No, I see what you mean. It's that discomfort. It's that ownership of people's words a little bit.
Yeah. We are playing Peggle 2, Sam Foreman. Yeah, not much to say about this. You shoot a ball and you hit the pegs.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh.
It was an interesting movie because I must admit, I've never really thought of Jim Carrey as a method actor.
Yeah.
I didn't really. I thought he just pulled funny faces.
Yeah, well, I guess up until that movie, I mean, maybe Truman Show and The Majestic, maybe. But what other movies would he have done that where method acting would even be called for? You know?
You call me the Mask! He's going everywhere in a green rubber mask. His face is just sweating. Somebody stop me! Every time he runs, he starts doing little twirls like dizzy dollies. Whee! I'd love that.
Just walks around with a taxidermied wolf head, so he just... Oh! Jesus, Jim, where'd you get that thing?
Giant mallet keeps whacking people in the face with it.
Like, quit calling me Jim. My name is... What the fuck was his name in the movie?
Stanley Ipkiss.
Yeah. Like, I am Stanley Ipkiss.
And it's only that so they can make that joke later on where they say, you can Ipkiss your ass goodbye. Like, they came up with that joke first, and they were like, can we make his name something Kiss? Just to go with this?
I guess.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, Ipkiss, it's not really a surname I've ever heard before.
Oh, you never heard of the New Hampshire Ipkisses?
My name's Harvey, knock knock, who's there?
Call me George the chicken crossed the road.
We actually went to KFC the other day and they had a sign up advertising a special bargain bucket with a thing that said, our chicken has finally crossed the road. So that was pretty great.
I guess you gotta roll with it, you know? You just gotta...
You gotta take your time.
That's the worst when something like that happens and the company... Like when something like that happens and the company like doesn't acknowledge it, but they're just like, I don't know what you're talking about. We always had chicken. Well, no, there was a big deal where you guys didn't have chicken for I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. Clues in the name. Alex says, yet the mask can make him bulletproof. Who needs realism? It's a magic mask! It makes him like a cartoon character. Which always really annoys me, though, because in the film, they establish quite clearly that turns different people into different things. He likes cartoons, and he's kind of sweet, but also kind of a dick, so he becomes the Mask.
Right.
But the guy, the villain who gets it at the end, just becomes like himself, but more evil. You know? And then in the cartoon, everyone just becomes the Mask.
Right.
What's that all about?
I don't know, Owen.
Do you know what?
I'm not as up on the rich
the rich complex, the Mask cinematic universe. Yeah. The Mask, in general, I think is a movie...
The first MCU.
The Mask is a movie that hasn't actually aged that well, but I do actually like the combining of a fairly reserved Jim Carrey role with a crazy one, as two alter egos. I wish he'd done more movies like that, do you know what I mean? Where he played...
Me, Myself, Irene.
Yeah, and Liar Liar. I think he
he
starts off one way and escalates. But the bit in The Mask that I do still think is really funny is when he's in the psychiatrist office trying to demonstrate how the mask works. He doesn't believe him, it's all been building up to him putting the mask on and showing him. But that's how they established this rule that they also forgot in the cartoon, that it only works at night. You know?
Right.
But Jim Carrey trying to do his own, like, mask transformation is still, I think, one of the funniest things he ever did. It is a great scene, I think.
I think my favorite Jim Carrey scene of all time, though, is from Liar Liar with the pen.
The goddamn pen is blue!
Well, it's great because when the guy comes in to see what happened, it looks like a psychopath's like office where just everywhere's written the pen is blue, the pen is blue.
Yeah, not a great film, Liar Liar, but came out at that time when Jim Carrey could do no wrong, I think.
Right. It's been kind of sad to see him try to return to that.
Right.
I think like the last movie he had that even came close to that sort of thing was it Yes Man?
Yeah, I don't like that.
No.
I didn't see, maybe it's a masterpiece, but I assume it's terrible. Mr. Popper's Penguins?
No, I didn't see that either.
And then he went to do serious stuff, and he suddenly went, like, there was no transition. He went to, like, very serious stuff. Eternal Sunshine. Truman Show's kind of a serious role for him, I think.
Yeah, but it still had a bit of...
Yeah.
Of humor to it. And I guess, like, Majestic, too, which I never saw myself. I heard it's actually pretty good, but for some reason it just didn't land.
I've never seen
it. Yeah.
And, of course, he was in Batman Forever.
The most serious of roles.
He's awful in that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know, he's not bad as, he's not bad as Edward Nygma when he does his hair up like Bruce Wayne and tries to be the professional businessman.
Right.
He's actually okay, but when he's the Riddler, like, that must be the worst Jim Carrey performance, I think, from that period. The Riddler, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't help that it's also paired up with the worst Tommy Lee Jones performance I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Have you heard the story of what Tommy Lee Jones said to Jim Carrey? When
how he didn't like him?
The exact phrase is so funny. It makes me laugh every time. So the story goes that he sees him in a restaurant while
last week.
While they're filming. Did we say it? He says to him, "I cannot sanction your buffoonery."
Oh.
Which is great when you actually see what Tom Jones is doing in that film.
Right.
Holloway!
Like there's a kettle we would like you to describe, Tommy Lee.
Batman Forever is such a weird film because obviously, like, it is absolutely pre-Batman and Robin. Like the cancer is not yet metastasized, but like,
how do we keep on ending up on Batman Forever?
Because it's a disease that must be gradually worked out of our system. Try and do it all at once, and I still can't get over the fact that he asks a 35-year-old man. Commissioner Gordon wants a 35-year-old man to be adopted.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out and have a drink, you know, a little nightcap before bed. I think you mean warm milk and cookies, don't you? No, I mean this 10-year-old scotch that
wouldn't it be great
to have with a Cuban cigar?
Wouldn't it be great if Commissioner Gordon had turned up and he'd actually had, like, 55-year-old, like, Burt Ward? Like, gee whiz, Bruce!
No, I want to see is if Robin had, like, was a... Oh, Jesus. If, Robin did have, like, was a fan of cigars... And just one day opened up his humidor and it was just replaced with nothing but those bubblegum cigars. Just... A growing boy shouldn't be doing something like that. It stunts your growth. Just...
Who'd have thought, though, that, like... like, in the year 2015, we'd get a Batman movie worse than Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
In 2050?
2015! Oh, when did Batman vs. Superman come out? Whenever that one came out.
Look, I don't like Batman v Superman, but I don't think it's as bad as Batman and Robin.
It's a different kind of bad. It's got the Snyders. Did you hear it came out? Did you hear it came out recently that while they said Zack Snyder was because he'd moved on from Justice League and the word was that he'd his daughter had committed suicide or his son and all this stuff. Did you hear it came out the other day that he'd actually been fired several months before that?
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. It is sad, but it's like... I think they would have, like, done... Honestly, considering the state of the internet and pop culture fandom and stuff like that, they probably would have done better off just saying they fired him. Like, people would have got behind that.
Well, interestingly, though, Zack Snyder's got quite a defense squad. And, like, how do you acquire that rabid a fan base making that bad movies?
I don't know.
Maybe they were big, like, Legends of the Guardians fans. What was that movie called? With the owls?
Oh, the Legends of Rahul or something like that?
The Legends of Rahul.
It was something like that.
Legends of Raul Julia.
Game over!
Yeah, well, he did that one, didn't he? The owl film.
Wasn't it?
With the owls.
We also did Sucker Punch.
Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole. Right, maybe they're all Owls of Ga'Hoole fans.
Right.
No, I know exactly who they are,
beautiful.
actually. I know exactly who they are. They're 300 fans.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one movie he did that everyone seems to remember as being good, right?
I enjoyed that film.
Well, I mean, you would. But I was not a fan of 300. I will say right now, I just didn't get it, really. I didn't get the appeal, personally.
I mean, it was visually striking. I mean, that was a big thing about it.
That's true.
It definitely, it looked like something, nothing else had been done before.
He didn't, I always think he didn't do it, but I always think he did Sin City, but he didn't, did he? That was,
No.
Robert Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez. Yeah.
Before he committed to spending as little money as possible on his film career, ever. I mean, I know he always did that, because he always like, went pretty cheap with it. But then after Sin City, all his movies just look awful. And he's like, look, if we cut, like, looking good, we can save even more cash. Robert Rodriguez, well, he did, Spy Kids. Did all of them.
That was before. That was well before.
Well, no, one of them was, but he was doing Spy Kids movies. The last Spy Kids movie was like, hold on, I'm gonna look it up. The last Spy Kids movie... Okay, yeah, the last Spy Kids movie was 2011. That's actually quite embarrassing.
And when was Sin City?
2005.
Really?
Yeah, I never saw that second Sin City.
It was alright. It wasn't as good as the first one, but
It was no
wasn't
Shark
bad.
Boy and Lava Girl.
That's for sure.
He mostly does those,
honestly,
like, those Grindhouse movies now, you know, like, Machete and what was
Machete
it? Planet
Kills.
Terror. Planet Terror says, yeah, that was one he did.
Well, that was by design, though. You know, But no, you want to know what the weirdest thing about the I'll admit I haven't read too many Sin City books.
Oh, he's making that Battle Angel movie.
Oh yeah, the Alita Battle Angel with the weird eyes.
Yeah, Weird Eyes, the movie.
I don't know. I'm kind of curious.
I think
want
it
to
looks
see,
great.
like that. I mean, the eye thing looks really unsettling, but I'm kind of interested in the idea that they're going with. Like, we're having an actual anime character exist.
Yeah.
In the real world.
If it's
That's kind of
supposed to
fascinating
be,
me.
if it's supposed to be mildly unsettling in the film, it'll work.
Right. No, the weird thing about the Sin City 2 is there's this whole section with what's her name, the actress? Eva Green? Is that her name? Eva?
Yeah. I'm looking up here, Eva Green.
yeah, they find every excuse, or not excuse, but like they just decide that she's not going to wear clothes in her section. She's just not going to. And when she is wearing clothes, you can see through them. It's the like. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read much Sin City, so yeah, maybe it was like that in the comic book. I don't know. But it just, I remember that really seeming strange to me. Like don't get me wrong, she's a beautiful woman. I didn't mind seeing her naked.
So,
but
I have read some Sin City comic books. I went through a Frank Miller phase. I'm not proud of it. I'm better now.
We all experiment with terribleness.
And I can tell you that I haven't seen the second Sin City movie, but if it's anything like the first, it'll be exactly like the comic book.
Yeah.
The first movie, and it's partly why I don't like the first movie, by the way, is panel for panel. It is the most direct adaptation from a comic to a movie I've ever seen. It's almost like, you know that Killing Joke animated movie? It's that close to the comic. Which kind of bugged me, because I'm of the opinion that different mediums are different mediums for a reason, and that...
Right.
But, a lot of people liked Sin City. A lot of people really liked it.
I did.
It was in that kind of midway point of comic adaptations, wasn't it? Like, around about the time of Spider-Man 2, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the reason I liked it was, once again, it's a visual thing. Like, the whole, like, hard-boiled, noir thing. I've said before I like noir stuff, but that was so over the top. It was...
Brought,
it sounded more almost like a parody of... like noir.
Brought Mickey Rourke back there, didn't it? Saved Mickey Rourke's career.
Well, that's another reason not to like that movie, but...
Did you see, what was that other one that looked like Sin City? The Spirit.
Oh, I heard that was terrible.
It was pretty bad. Do you know what's probably the worst comic book movie I've seen, though? Is, have you seen the Seth Rogen Green Hornet movie?
No.
I think he was in it, Seth Rogen, right?
Yes.
See, I've seen it, and I kind of remember who was in it. I watched that on Netflix, and I fell asleep. And I don't fall asleep during movies very often. And I woke up, and I didn't quite realize I'd fallen asleep. And I'm fairly sure I fell asleep and woke up again during the same scene. But it was like 10 minutes later. It's so bad. That's one of those weird adaptations you get where they're like, okay, we need a comic book movie. Scour the resources and see what properties we've got. And they come up with a Green Hornet. And someone at the back of the boardroom goes, but sir, I don't think anybody in the public audiences know who Green Hornet is. And they go, just do it. People like superheroes. Put Seth Rogen in it.
Our leading action hero of our day.
Yeah, like, okay, I like comic books, and I like old movie serials. Like, I love The Shadow, old radio serials, stuff like that. I love it, but I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge. But I like to think I'm fairly knowledgeable about these things. Even for someone who is, a bit into the kind of thing. Okay. I hadn't even heard of the Green Hornet before that movie came out. And that's not normal for me with comic book adaptations. Is the Green Hornet a beloved character in the US?
I mean, I wouldn't say beloved, but he has a history. He's definitely one of the first, I don't want to say the first comic book characters, but he comes from that era of, like the Shadow and, the original Batman.
First Green Lantern.
No, before that, just where everyone were these, gun-toting vigilantes, double-fisted sort of characters. And then he had a show. He had a show for a while that actually starred Bruce Lee as Cadotte. So yeah, he has a history, but I wouldn't say he, he's not, one of the top tiers.
Fair enough. But maybe he's due for one of those reboots where they kind of play into how the character's thought of. Do you know what I mean? You get some nice reboots that kind of explore how, in a kind of a meta sense, how the characters developed over the years. A little bit like whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, you know, where they they admit in the story they're saying goodbye to that incarnation of Superman. Maybe he needs to be revived as an older character coming back from another era.
Well, they did that with the Shadow. I can't remember if it was before the movie or after, but they brought him back, and like they realized real quick that no one was really paying attention to the comic, so they just went fucking nuts with it. Where it was like, oh yeah, by the way, the Shadow now in the future, his head's been removed from his body, and we threw it onto a mech. It's just fucking insanity.
Like that Turtles Eastman and Laird run after the cartoon was cancelled when they cut off Donatello's arm, turned Raphael into a mutant. Do you know what I want to see revived?
Kill Leonardo with like the Triceratops motherfucker.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I want to see them acknowledge in the comics and make, like, you know how all these periods happen when occasionally in comics they'll do like a retcon and they'll say, okay, this weird period in comics, this is now like some other Earth or it's some other time period. You know, like Grant Morrison recently brought back the Batman of Zur-En-Arr and these stuff, the Earth 2 stuff. Right. Can we make canon the period in Green Lantern's history where he was basically second billing to his dog?
Sure.
I want that. I want the Alan Scott Green Lantern story where he talks about his bitterness over the time when his dog became the DC Universe's most popular superhero. He was like second fiddle.
Let's see, we got some stuff in the chat here. Loose Corner, welcome back, by the way. I looked up DHL on Trustpilot. Its normal service has 1.0 stars, I believe, or something along those lines. Not sure why KFC picked them.
Well, to be fair, I don't think they're getting the normal service. I don't think they tried to deliver the chicken 3 times and then went home.
They just showed up with all the chicken in one little yellow van. Just,
we got a lot of stops to make today.
We're just going back and forth. We need more chicken. More chicken? You won't believe how much these guys fucking use. It's a lot of chicken. Who would have thought?
This is like the Diamond Marvel situation all over again, but with chicken.
Yeah, when KFC tried to become their own chicken distributor.
Day one. Okay, how do we make a chicken?
I want the variant cover chicken. I want my chicken with a holographic cover. And with sketch work on the backside of it. Let's see, then Orchaos says, DHL used to do consumer delivery, but they were lazy bastards. They would just drop off a pallet at the post office, and your package would be up to a week late. A company I worked for used... That's really funny to me. Yeah, we're a parcel delivery service. We'll take your parcel all the way to the post office.
Well,
it'd be great if they didn't actually take it to the post office. They just took it to the first little blue box they found on the street.
We've started reposting. We've been getting a lot of mail lately that the mailman keeps basically sending. The other day we got, you know how sometimes in the mail carriers they put like a few letters all for one street inside a little rubber band, you know, and it's like, this is all going to one place. We got the whole streets in a rubber band through our letterbox. Well, this is the address on the top. Must be here. So what we started doing is just reposting them. Like, you sort it out. Have fun!
Alright, let's do one more game, but we'll start wrapping up, okay?
Sure. I was going to talk about The Good Place today, and I forgot. I watched all of The Good Place this week.
Did you want to try to squeeze that in?
No, The Good Place is a really good show, and everybody told me it was really good. And I watched the first episode a while ago, and I didn't like it. But I've always been meaning to go back and watch more of it, because people keep telling me it's good. And all I'm going to say is, it's really good, and I don't actually want to talk about it too much, because it's the kind of show where if you start talking about it, you get into spoilers. Because there's 2 seasons. Season 1 ends on a plot twist. That plot twist is a rare game changer that actually changes everything you've seen and makes the show significantly better, you know? Which is great. But it's actually really worth watching. It's about a woman called Eleanor.
I've seen a couple episodes.
Have you? Okay, so you know the premise. Yeah. There's a woman called Eleanor, and she is the most selfish person in human history.
Right.
Dies and goes to heaven, and then finds out shortly after she got there that she's not actually supposed to be there, and they've mistaken her for someone else, and she has to hide out in heaven and not give the game up that she's not supposed to be there. But her negative actions, because she is the most selfish person who ever lived, are actually causing heaven to break, essentially. And meanwhile, she's being tutored by the person who, when she arrives, they tell her that soulmates are real, and everyone here gets matched with their soulmate. But the person she's matched with is supposed to be the soulmate of the real Eleanor Shellstrop.
Right.
And he's an ethics professor, so he's trying to tutor her on ethical behavior. And that's the setup. And it's a really funny setup, but it starts off kind of episodic, right? Like, okay, this is the episode where we learn this lesson, and this is the episode where we go into this. By the end of the first season, it's one of the most interesting sitcoms I think I've ever seen. By the end of season 2, it might be one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. It is really good. And it pairs a good comedy premise with genuine philosophical discussions about the nature of morality. Sometimes in quite depth. There's one episode in season 2 that is a very funny but very clever setup all about the trolley problem, which is famous ethical dilemma. You are driving a tram trolley on a cart, and you see that in front of you there's 5 people on the track, and the trolley's out of control. You can change the line to the next track where there's 1 person working, and the choice is, do you deliberately choose to kill 1 person to avoid killing 5, you know?
Right.
Og says, so it's a more mature version of Sesame Street without learning about letters and numbers. Maybe. It's better than that. It's really worth watching, actually. It starts a little slow, I think. But it's quite a special program. I think the problem is it's one of those things where I'd like to tell people... I don't like to build up a twist, but I'd like to tell people, because the twist is a kind of a premise changer, but it's better to have the surprise as well, you know? It's a really good show. I really recommend it.
All right. Yeah, no, I remember the few episodes I saw, I did enjoy it. I just never got really a chance to stick with it.
It's a Netflix original here. I don't know if it is there.
No, it was on a station, ABC, I want to say, or maybe CBS. Either way, it was on terrestrial television. But yeah, we're going to be wrapping up here, so if you guys have any questions for us, any comments, anything real quick, you know, lightning round sort of situation, get them in now. Let's see here. We should have a show next week, because that'll be before my vacation, but I think after that, it'll probably be 2 weeks where we won't have one, because I'll either be out of the country or just getting back, and believe it or not, I am not going to want to sit down the first thing back and do the show. No offense to anyone.
Heartbreaker.
Yeah. Sue me.
Nah.
But yeah, so that's kind of the plans ahead. If I am diligent enough, there should still be content on the channel for those 2 weeks. I have been doing my weekly series, One Person's Take. I've been doing them quite regularly. I've done 3 episodes. The fourth one is already recorded. I just gotta do, all the fun uploading business. But that'll be out Thursday. This next Thursday. And I'm not gonna lie. I thought I'd garner a little bit more attention with the last episode, but
fair enough.
Somehow my episode where I discussed why I like video games was more interesting to people than my opinions about the concept of the friend zone, which it's in a weird way it kind of restores my faith a little bit in humanity, because I definitely tried to go bait clicky with the title and everything.
Bait clicky.
Yeah, or clickbaity, I guess.
No, I prefer bait clicky.
Yeah, that's what they call Norman Bates, damn it, not Norman Bates, Warren Beatty.
Norman Bates is bait clicky, the killer, stalking women in motels around the world. Don't that be a better setup? Not just one motel.
All motels.
Norma Bates, motel inspector.
But they call him clickbaity, so every time he's about to kill someone, it's like, 10 ways you won't survive this night.
Would you like to know more? Well, no, that's not clickbait, that's Starship Troopers.
Yeah, it's amazing how it's kind of very similar, isn't it?
Did you see? Did you see Trump saying that he would have charged the gunman even if he didn't have a gun in the speech?
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting because it reminded me of Idiocracy when Terry Crews is the president. And he's like a pro wrestler, but it's all like for show.
Right. Yeah. What I love about that, right? Yeah, I would have stared death in the eyes and go charging in to go, into a hail of gunfire. Hey, didn't you dodge the draft?
No.
No. I had shin splints.
Okay, it says Dick Tracy starring clickbaity. Oh crap, Hollywood is so low on ideas, I'm sure it'll be made now.
Yep. Way to go. You did that, Org. You made that happen. You put that in the universe. And so...
I'd love another Dick Tracy movie, but only if Warren Beatty still plays him. Just ancient.
Did they just get Madonna back? And...
yeah!
Just Dick Tracy 20 years later.
Oh, flip the roles. Madonna plays Dick Tracy and Warren Beatty plays Breathless Mahoney.
Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Comancho, that's right.
That's like knowing the emergency number from the IT crowd.
I don't know the emergency number. What? Alright, everyone. Yep, Zamu Davis says Lady Gaga would come in as a younger Sister Shirley. Yeah, why not? I think they could actually do a good... I think they could do a pretty good Dick Tracy these days.
I think the original Dick Tracy movie is pretty good. I love the color palette. That looks like limited color comic printing.
All the red, yellow, and blue.
Yeah, I think it's kind of nice. And the amount of people that are in it. Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, they all wanted to be in Dick Tracy. Okay, I'm yawning. I will not prolong this conversation.
All right,
Let's
everyone.
get out of here.
Yeah, thank you all for watching. It's been a fun episode. Once again, I've been one of your hosts, Jonathan Cadotte. With me, as always, been Owen Adams. Where can they find you, Owen?
Oh, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Owen Adams. And yourself?
There you go. You can find me on my Twitter, which is @JohnCPerson. Or you can just stick right here on this channel and see all the other stuff I've been doing. And that'll be pretty much it.
Hooray!
So yeah, until next time, have a good one.
Bye, guys.